Have you ever reached into your tomato plants without looking? Just grabbed a stem, pulled a weed, brushed aside a leaf, and felt something soft under your fingers? That slow-moving, long-bodied striped beetle sitting right there on the stem didn't run, didn't fly, didn't flinch. And if you touched it, or worse, instinctively swatted it, you didn't get bitten. You got something far worse. This bug doesn't need to bite you. The moment you press it, squeeze it, or crush it, it bleeds a chemical onto your skin that begins destroying tissue within hours. And it works just as well when the beetle is already dead. Most people have seen one and never known what it was. The blister beetle, family Meloidae, over 250 species across the United States, is one of the most common summer garden insects in North America and one of the most routinely mishandled. It shows up on tomatoes, peppers, eggplant, flowers, and leafy greens from June through September, peaking in July. It arrives not as a single intruder, but as a cluster. One morning, your beans look fine. The next morning, there's a congregation of long-bodied beetles feeding in the same spot like they've been there for a week. The first thing to know is how to recognize one. Forget color, blister beetles come in solid black, ash gray, metallic blue-black, yellow with lengthwise black stripes, and black with cream-trimmed wing covers. Color alone will not reliably identify them. What you're looking for is the shape. There is a pronounced constriction between the head and the abdomen, a narrow, pinched neck called the pronotum, that is visibly narrower than both the head in front of it and the body behind it. The body is long, soft, and slightly flattened. The legs are longer than you'd expect for a beetle that size. That narrow neck silhouette is the one reliable field marker, and it's the one nobody mentions. They don't run because they don't need to. That stillness isn't docility or injury, it's confidence. The blister beetle carries a chemical weapon in its blood so effective that it doesn't need speed, camouflage, armor, or a stinger. What it has is cantharidin, a bicyclic terpenoid compound that makes up 1 to 5% of the beetle's dry body weight and is stored directly in its hemolymph, the insect equivalent of blood. When you press a blister beetle, when you touch it, pinch it, swat it, or crush it against a leaf, it triggers a defense called reflex bleeding. The beetle deliberately ruptures soft tissue at its own leg joints and body junctions, releasing oily orange-yellow droplets of hemolymph directly onto whatever is making contact. There's no wound, no bite. The chemical arrives on your skin colorless and odorless. You feel nothing immediately. That's the problem. Within hours, a red burn appears. Within a day, fluid-filled blisters form. Not from a bite, from a chemical weapon that the beetle deployed the moment you applied pressure. The same thing happens when you swat one off your arm. Swatting is the worst possible response because it crushes the beetle against your skin, maximizing hemolymph contact across a larger surface area. Your instinct to knock it away with your bare hand is the exact action that triggers the most exposure. What makes this stranger is that males synthesize cantharidin and pass it to females during mating, a nuptial gift carried in a specialized secretion. The female stores it and uses it to coat her eggs, creating a chemical shield that deters ants and other predators before the larvae even hatch. The toxin exists inside this insect across every stage of its life, transferred deliberately between generations, refined over millions of years. It is not a side effect, it is the entire strategy. And it does not stop working after the beetle dies. Cantharidin is chemically stable. A dead blister beetle on your garden floor, crushed into the sole of your shoe, or dried inside a hay bale weeks after harvest retains full toxicity. The dead beetle is not safe to pick up barehanded. This is not a theoretical risk. Horses have died after consuming cantharidin-contaminated alfalfa hay that was baled with beetles inside it, beetles that were already dead when the bale was sealed. As few as 30 to 50 striped blister beetles, which carry the highest cantharidin concentration, can carry enough toxin to kill a 1,000-pound horse. There is no antidote. Treatment is supportive only and must begin quickly to have any effect. For people, skin exposure is painful and slow to heal, but usually not life-threatening. Eye exposure is where it escalates dangerously. If you handle a plant where beetle hemolymph is present and then touch your eyes before washing your hands, you risk corneal damage. Poison control is direct about this. Do not touch, handle, provoke, or crush a blister beetle. If one lands on you, blow it off. Do not swat it. Do not use your bare hand to brush it away. Wash the area immediately with soap and water if there has been any contact. Here's what almost nobody mentions about this bug. Before it became a problem in your tomatoes, it spent time underground doing something useful. The female lays 100 to 200 eggs just beneath the soil surface. When those eggs hatch, the larvae have legs and a purpose. They immediately search through the soil for grasshopper egg pods and eat them. Not a few. They consume entire pods, eliminating grasshoppers before the next generation ever develops. North Dakota State University's Agriculture Extension classifies blister beetle larvae as a natural biological control agent for grasshoppers. In dry years, when grasshopper populations surge, blister beetle populations increase alongside them because the larvae have more food. If blister beetles suddenly appear in your garden in large numbers, it may mean grasshoppers laid a significant number of eggs there the previous season. That benefit is real and it is limited. It applies exclusively to the underground larval stage. The adult that emerges from that same soil is a plant-feeding pest that can strip a garden overnight in sufficient numbers. The larvae and the adult are ecologically different creatures sharing the same body across different points in time. Knowing this changes nothing about how you handle the adult. It does change how you interpret its presence. If you enjoy this channel, we cover what actually lives near your home, what your instincts get wrong, and what most wildlife advice leaves out. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Because the next myth about this beetle involves the one thing most gardeners think is protecting them. It isn't. People call it a blister beetle bite constantly. Pest control sites, gardening forums, even some news coverage. It doesn't bite. There are no fangs, no venom gland, no puncture wound. The skin reaction is a chemical burn from hemolymph contact. Calling it a bite makes people search for a bite wound instead of washing the area immediately, which is the only useful early response. People also assume their garden gloves are adequate protection. Cloth gloves are not. Cantharidin can penetrate fabric. Rubber or latex gloves are what poison control recommends when working in areas where blister beetles have been active. The striped species looks enough like an elongated cucumber beetle that people dismiss it. The solid black species resembles a large ground beetle, which is actually a beneficial predator of garden pests. Confusing them means either panicking about the wrong insect or ignoring the right one. The narrow neck is the separator. Ground beetles don't have it. Blister beetles do. And then there's the Spanish fly. Cantharidin has been misused as an aphrodisiac across 2,000 years of human history. Most notoriously when the Marquis de Sade poisoned multiple women with it in 1772. The supposed effect was not arousal. It was severe inflammation of the urinary tract from a blistering agent burning the internal tissue. People died from it. The same compound now has an FDA-approved medical application in wart removal and is under active research as a potential anti-cancer agent. The most dangerous garden beetle in your backyard has a longer medical history than most pharmaceuticals. The practical response is straightforward. During peak season, June through September, wear rubber or latex gloves when working in the garden and look before you reach. The narrow neck body shape and the clustered feeding pattern are both visible from a safe distance. To remove beetles, shake or knock them into a container of soapy water using a stick or a piece of cardboard. Never your hands. Do not crush them against a plant surface. Hemolymph deposited on a leaf remains a contact hazard the next time you or a child touches that leaf. Keep pets away from dead beetles on the garden floor. Dogs that investigate or mouth a dead beetle are at genuine risk. Cantharidin poisoning in animals produces oral swelling, gastrointestinal distress, and potentially worse, and cantharidin from a dried beetle is just as potent as from a live one. If you own horses and grow or purchase alfalfa, avoid using a mechanical hay crimper during harvest. Crimpers crush beetles into the hay before baling, forcing cantharidin into the material. Allow cut alfalfa to dry in the field for at least 2 days, so live beetles can disperse before baling. First cutting alfalfa carries lower blister beetle risk than later cuttings. So go back to that moment. Your hand reaching toward the tomato plant on a summer afternoon. That long-bodied beetle sitting on the stem, not moving, not fleeing, completely untroubled by how close you are. You know now what it is, you know why it isn't running. You know what it will do if you touch it, and you know that it will do the same thing after it's dead. You also know what it was doing underground before it ever reached your garden, and what that might say about what was already living in your soil. If you found one of these in your garden this summer, or if you now suspect a mystery blister from a few months ago was one you never identified, drop it in the comments. What would you actually do if you reached for a plant today and found one sitting right there? The slower something moves in your garden, the more confident it is in what it's carrying. That's worth remembering the next time something doesn't run.